Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bourne Report Deep Dive. This episode, we have a special guest from TD2 Oncology. Don, I'll let you take it away with the introductions.
Thanks, Chelsea. Hello, my name is Donald Hooker. I am the Director of Research here at Bourne Partners. In early October, we published a deep dive research report on the contract research organization, or CRO space. Core to our thesis on the CRO space is the ongoing trend that we're seeing towards the development of large molecule, biologic, and complex drugs in areas like oncology and other rare diseases. Over time, we expect that this trend will lead to more and more outsourcing to third-party CRO specialists, like the one we have here today. We're super excited to have a chance to have a brief conversation with Dr. Steve Gately, who is the Chief Executive Officer of TD2. TD2 is a rapidly growing specialist CRO focused on the development of new precision medicines for oncology and other complex diseases. So, Steve, thank you so much for your time. There's been a lot of consolidation among CROs, of course, over the past decade. And we're sort of now in this marketplace where we have these mega behemoth CROs like Charles River and Icon and IQVIA, among others, who bring enormous scale and financial resources to bear. But yet at the same time, it feels like the types of medicines in the development pipeline are only getting more and more specialized and narrow. So, Steve, how do you see the competitive landscape for CROs today, and how does a specialty CRO like TD2 fit into that?
Thank you, Don. We agree. Definitely seeing lots of evidence of consolidation and growth of the already large CROs. I think my analogy is, we have a healthcare system where we have lots of diversity in terms of care practice. So we have folks who deal with general practicing. They take care of your blood pressure and your cholesterol. But when you get a diagnosis of cancer, they quickly send you to an expert. They send you to the expert who will treat your cancer. So the way I look at it is the large CROs are really your general practitioners. They have capabilities and facilities to really manage care. But when you have a complex disease that's going to have complex therapy, you have to go to your specialist. And so it's wonderful, actually. It's a real opportunity, I think, for emerging CROs with specialty in diseases to really deliver on that level of expertise, because that's what's required. It's not scale, it's not access to some unique AI platform, it's delivery of content and expertise and protect the asset and get it tested appropriately. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for TD2 as we grow into more delivery of specialized care.
Great. And I guess another area of focus we hear a lot from investors, particularly those who have maybe been away from the space and coming back in um, after maybe a hiatus, but just the changing regulatory and legislative environment, I guess, particularly in the United States, and we can talk about other countries as well. But wanted to get your pulse, Steve, on sort of the ongoing evolution of the Inflation Reduction Act, the ongoing impact of the Inflation Reduction Act, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act in July. We've seen other regulatory actions by the Trump FDA in recent months as well, all of which impact the clinical trial environment. How do you see all these sort of political and government variables impacting the clinical trial environment, and does it change how you think about your business at TD2?
Well, it does. And, maybe I'll be a contrarian voice here. I'm actually encouraged by the changes that we're seeing at the FDA. I think Dr. Markary is a remarkable individual who does have a focus in oncology, and I'm very optimistic about the FDA. And to be honest, certainly there's been uncertainty. I think perhaps the speed with which some of the changes were implemented caused some concern for folks in terms of how stable is that ecosystem. But really, the folks that are there are delivering. I mean, the head of CBER is a medical oncologist. It's amazing. It's an important position, and we have individuals with expertise in oncology. We can only expect the best new agents are going to get to a patient. So I would say the refinement and focus on endpoints that matter to patients has been a critical shift. I think we've seen a lot of drugs getting approved on endpoints that really didn't contribute to improvement in survival for cancer patients.
Mm.
And so refining the focus on endpoints that matter to a patient. And that means you have to construct your clinical trials very with a specialty in mind. The endpoints now are going to be much more difficult to obtain. And so the study design and execution and the strategy with which you do it is mission critical. for the biotechs. And so that's, again, why would you want to work with a specialty CRO? It's because that's the level of support you'll need. I think the changes that need to happen in the Inflation Reduction Act really largely resolve when they take care of the provision around how small molecules are treated versus large molecules. And so currently, pricing impacts are really being pushed on to the small molecule therapeutics. And for the vast majority of targets in cancer, they will be addressed by small molecules, and yet they're the ones that are under the most pressure from a pricing perspective. That sort of pivots companies to have to focus on large and complex biologics, which don't always address the needs of a cancer patient. Those are more costly. They'll take longer to get into the system. And so I would say, the Inflation Reduction Act provision as it relates to impact to small molecules has really been an impairment to companies as they think about their strategies and tactics for getting a drug approved for patients with cancer. I think the one big beautiful bill has a lot of provisions in it that makes it attractive to operationalize your company in the United States. There are certainly a lot of advantages to setting up manufacturing and drug support infrastructure in the United States. I think that will benefit the companies here and obviously the CROs that operate here.
It's interesting. And I guess outside of the United States, there does continue to be a lot of media focus on the growing influence of China, particularly in early stage drug development. I think we all hear about early stage drug development surging in China, I guess presumably due to regulatory reforms, obvious cost advantages there, I guess the speed by which one can advance drugs to market. Steve, how do you see the drug development environment in China maybe impacting the drug development in the United States or Europe for that matter?
Yeah, it's clear that's the mission now. I think there's been certainly a lot of evidence for the speed with which our Chinese colleagues are pushing agents, getting first level data in humans, and then coming back into the United States market for later development support. I think that there are risks to that approach. Every person is designed differently. There are different genomic backgrounds in people. Safety and population of Chinese patients may be different than what you see here in the United States. It's also a difference in the patterns of care and where patients are accessing clinical trials in China, perhaps less prior therapies. And so they have more robust, perhaps immune systems, perhaps come into the study a little more healthy. In the United States, of course, patients will progress on a number of therapies. And when those drugs fail the patients, they'll be eligible to participate in a clinical trial. So the opportunity, again, it's all in this early development stage, is to immediately get the drugs from China into the North American, into U.S. population, North American patient, Western Europe population, to ensure that the safety signals that you're observing in China are matched, and that the efficacy outcomes that you are reporting in China are also matched. That's critical to partnering your drug. It's critical to advancing the therapy towards regulatory approval. And so again, I think it plays into the hands of the specialty CRO that are here to execute with high fidelity these early development studies to define efficacy and safety as quickly as possible so the programs can continue to advance at the same speed that perhaps they're seeing in China.
Interesting. So I guess with all this in mind, what's sort of next for TD2 over the next, 3 to 5 years? What are there particular areas of focus for you and your business in the coming years?
We've been very excited in watching the capital deployment into the radio pharmaceutical space. That's an area, despite the economic events of the last year or so, has continued to robustly attract capital. We certainly know that so these are targeted radiation therapies delivered to patients. Patients really, really want them. They think that that makes all the sense in the world. So you have a population of patients who are anxiously waiting for these drugs to get into the clinic. And we have companies who've raised the dollars. Now, these are very complex trials, a lot of logistic support needed. This is not for the faint of heart. This does require an expert team to deliver and execute, managing all the complexity of radioligand therapy. So we could not be more excited. Our heritage has always been in the deep understanding of science, execution, focus on the patient, now helping the companies to work through all of the logistics. And as one of my colleagues told me, there's no book. We can't open a book here and go to chapter 3 to know what to do next. We're writing the book as we speak. And so you've got to work with a team that has mitigated the challenge of radioligand therapies, that has seen the things that have gone right and the things that have gone wrong, and have a plan to approach things when they do go off the rails. And so we're super excited about the support that TD2 is providing to companies that are developing these radioligand therapeutics. And let's be honest, we've seen a lot of excitement for patients with prostate cancer, a lot of radioligands targeting certain antigens found in prostate cancer, but there's a lot of other cancers that we can help with radioligand therapeutics. And so you're going to just need that team, been there, done that, ready to mitigate when problems arise. And so I think where we see TD2 moving is really in the support of these very complex therapies that require a very expert team, an expert hand, calm at the wheel, get the drug delivered safely into patients, and define activity as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's interesting around the radiopharma space. It's something we've been following as well. Are there any other particularly interesting or exciting therapeutic areas or modalities in the pipeline that you all at TD2 are working on with your clients?
Yes, absolutely. I think there's two. One is the antibody-drug conjugate space. They're like radioligand therapies delivering other toxins to cancer cells in a targeted manner. I think the future for antibody-drug conjugates is so exciting because we're going to have new ways to find targets on cancers that we can address that will not be found perhaps on normal tissues. And we're going to deliver different types of toxins. Right now, we're pretty limited. I think the ADCs we see mostly are those which deliver chemotherapies, toxins, but there's a whole universe emerging of novel ways to deliver payloads, which are not chemotherapies that patients perhaps have already seen as a part of their care and perhaps have progressed on. And so we'll bring novel payload technologies to the antibody-drug conjugate space. Can't be more excited about where that field is going to go for cancer patients. And I think, again, it requires a team that's very sophisticated in understanding the complex nature of those agents. The second one I'll mention is the emergence of advanced cellular therapies. For the first time, we're seeing great evidence for cell therapy working in patients with solid tumors. There's good evidence they worked in hematologic malignancies, but solid cancers has always been a stumbling block for those therapies. But we're seeing really good evidence, and now we're moving into a place where the cells will be engineered in your body. You don't have to have the cells taken out and be engineered and replaced back into your body. They're going to be made inside of you. And the FDA is really helping us here. They're providing insight into guidance that they'll release that will allow for easier genomic engineering of the cells in vivo. And so I think advanced cell therapies are back. I feel like John Wick, cell therapy is back, and so I think that's where we have to focus. And again, that's an area that's going to require a lot of focus, a lot of expertise to deliver those agents to patients.
I think there's some optimism that we're also seeing some early signs of a recovery in the biopharma funding environment, particularly among small and mid-sized sponsors. Are you, in your opinion, Steve, what are you hearing from your clients? Are you seeing any signs of improvement in the financial health of the biopharma environment?
Absolutely. I think we're seeing good evidence for large pharmaceutical M&A activity, acquiring businesses at scale. We're seeing organizations that have frankly struggled to secure funding adequate to progress their agents into the clinic now securing that capital. The amount of inbound requests that we're receiving from organizations has markedly increased in the fourth quarter here. I think the market is we're back in and funding companies in a way that allows them to test their agents in patients. I think that's the key. So yeah, we're definitely seeing an uptick in interest in our organization, requests for support for services, and we're seeing a lot of M&A activity coming out of the large pharmaceutical space, which is very welcome to see.
Great. Well, with that, I want to thank Dr. Steve Gately and the TD2 team for their time. We look forward to keeping in touch with you all. And please check out our Bourne Partners Deep Dive Research Report on the CRO space at www.bourne-partners.com.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Bourne Report Deep Dive. If you would like to learn more or read more about our research reports, please visit our website at bourne-partners.com. That's BOURNE-partners.com. Have a great day.